Hello, folks. Welcome to our live streaming webinar. If you're watching at 4 o'clock on Thursday, June 18th, you're watching live. And if you're not at 4 o'clock on June 18th, you're watching a recorded version of this. Thank you very much for joining us. This is Town Hall number 3 for our great folks at Alona Community Resources, KCR. And it is about seniors and how we can work together in our community to help seniors throughout the Central Okanagan. We have people here from both sides of the lake, and they're anxious to communicate to us what they do and how COVID has impacted what they do. So without any further ado, let me just give you a brief roundtable as to who they are. First, we'll have Ellen Bulkey from the KCR Community Resources describe what we're going to be talking about over the next hour or so. We also have Christina Mcmaster. And Christina is with the Peachland Wellness Center. We have Vi Sorensen from the Seniors Outreach and Resource Center, Corrine Rempel from the Lake Country Health Planning Society. And did I miss anybody? We have Dorothy, who's hiding behind the big banner, KCR Community Resources, who does all the work to put this together along, of course, with Ellen. So without any further ado, Ellen, would you mind taking the floor?
Absolutely. And Norm, thanks so much for hosting this town hall again. And today we wanted to address the topic of COVID and our seniors. And just to start, let me give you a couple of statistics just to show you just how many people we're talking about and how many people are being impacted. In Canada, we have 6.6 million people who are age 65 or better. And did you know actually that there are more seniors now in Canada than there actually are children? And within BC, a little closer to home, our 2016 census shows that 18.3% of the population is over the age of 65 years old or older. Stats Canada is projecting that British Columbia seniors population will comprise between 24 and 27% of BC's population by the year 2038. This is going to be nearly 5% higher than the Canadian average. And when we look even closer to home, as of 2016, we had 41,670 seniors living in the Central Okanagan. So this is approximately about 21.4% of our overall population. The Seniors Poverty Report Card paints a pretty sad picture for BC, with us having the highest poverty rate among seniors of any province or territory. So with the onset of the pandemic, this has caused some really great hardship for those that are aging. The hardship is not just financial, but it's also through social isolation leading to loneliness. It's been really well researched that loneliness is proven to negatively affect a person's mental and physical well-being. So for this reason, we've invited the leaders of 3 key organizations. We've actually invited 4. We're hoping one more will join us. And these organizations' primary or possibly only focus is to support and serve our seniors that are in need. Each represents one of the 4 communities in the Central Okanagan. So that's Lake Country, Kelowna, West Kelowna, and Peachland. And we are very grateful that they've joined us, and I am eager to learn from their words. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ellen, and thank you for the work that you do and the leadership that you've provided our community, and well describing the challenge that we have with our seniors and opportunities during these COVID times. So maybe what we'll do is we'll go around the room. Our speakers will speak for about 2 minutes each, describing what the organization does and maybe quickly some of the challenges or opportunities they've encountered through COVID. And they'll limit it to about 2 or 3 minutes, and then we'll open it up for a question. So if you have a question and you're watching live, because if you're not watching live, submitting your question probably won't go very far. If you have a question and you're watching live, just hit the Q&A box and type in your question, and we'll make sure we get your question answered. So without any further ado, Christina Mcmaster from our Peachland Wellness Center. How about you go first?
Thank you. Thank you, Norm. And thanks, Ellen and KCR for hosting this. So yes, I'm Christina Mcmaster, the Executive Coordinator of the Peachland Wellness Center. The Peachland Wellness Center has continued operating and meeting the needs of many in our community by limited staff in the building maintaining social distancing, while the majority of staff have also worked from home. PwC's mission is to provide programs and services to connect people through support, education, information, referral, and outreach. We provide this to anyone in Peachland. However, due to Peachland's high average age of 52, the primary beneficiary of our programs and services are seniors age 65 plus. Since the onset of COVID-19, we have developed and are offering PwC Connects, an ongoing initiative designed to reduce feelings of isolation and loneliness among members of the Peachland community. This service's goal is to support community members and offer supports that help people cope with the changes of daily life as a result of COVID-19. The four main categories to PwC Connects that will continue long after COVID-19 are, the first is we have been helping community members by providing over 200 weekly phone calls. People who are struggling with feelings of loneliness and isolation as a result of COVID-19 are finding value in the connections these calls provide. We believe that we have been able to reduce the feelings of loneliness and potential mental health downsides as a result of these calls. We will continue this in the form of a friendly visiting type service after COVID, because it's been shown to be so valuable to so many people. Secondly, as Peachland is not serviced by any other medical transportation such as HandyDart, the need for rides has continued for transportation to essential medical appointments and will resume the regular trips as well post-COVID. PwC Connects has added safe shopping and delivery of groceries to those in need as a third component of PwC Connects. The new grocery shopping service, of course, will also continue as a better at home service after COVID is over. Social programs via the online platform Zoom have been developed, and PwC Connects has held a tablet drive to collect tablets to increase the number of seniors who could access Zoom. This again has been valuable and will continue to maintain connections in the future. And the seniors are thrilled to be getting these tablets and learn how to connect with their family and friends in this way. So that's what the Peachland Wellness Center has been doing through COVID and will continue to do long after COVID. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Christina, for that. Very important work that you're doing, and appreciate you sharing that information with us. So Christina, after Christina in alphabetical order, comes Corrine. So how's that for how we pick people? So Corrine Rempel from Lake Country Health Planning Society, why don't you go next, please, and tell us a little about yourself and your organization.
Sure, thank you. Lake Country Health's mission is to connect people to and advocate for greater health, wellness, and social services for the people of Lake Country and the surrounding communities. After a tremendous year of growth, expansion of services, and a complete staff changeover, the arrival of COVID-19 seemed to be what we were preparing for all along. We went remote on March 16th and rolled out our caremongering service for seniors and others who needed support within 3 days. Errands, grocery shopping, and delivery, friendly and virtual phone calls were services that we provided. The call for volunteers went out and Lake Country responded. Over the last 4 months, 85 community members have been supported in their homes on a weekly basis. The most difficult roadblock that we faced during COVID-19 was connecting with isolating community members that were not connected to the digital world or do not have internet or access to devices at their home. So that was, for us, one of our biggest roadblocks.
Norm, you need to just unmute yourself.
Yes, I think I'm on now. So thank you very much for that, Corrine. Vi, would you mind discussing a little bit about the Alona Senior Outreach and Resource Center? Thank you.
Yeah, I'll make it quick and then we can rather have question time. This organization's been in Kelowna for 31 years. I've been here for 21 of them, unbelievably so. I'm still here. We do a lot of services and they're pretty much all directed at keeping seniors connected to other seniors, their families, the community, healthcare. We provide some in-home supports through Better at Home. We've been the local hub for the Safe Seniors Strong Communities Initiative. Through that, just in Kelowna alone, we've provided close to 1,000 services to over 300 seniors in the last couple months. It's most of the staff have been working from home, but a lot of these services, we always had someone in the office, so we could provide PPE, pickups and drop-offs from our patio. We've had over 200 new volunteers join us in this time, so it's been a bit intense, but it's been wonderful. We've got volunteers delivering books to seniors and swapping them out every week or two. That's something new we started doing to combat the isolation. We've started meal delivery, which we didn't do before. Hi, Sonia. And that's been going really well because there's a number of seniors out there who just aren't healthy enough to cook, especially after coming out of the hospital or undergoing some kind of treatment. So we've been able to add that to the mix because seniors couldn't go out anymore. They weren't supposed to go to restaurants. Well, they weren't even open at that point. So we tried to fill those kind of gaps. We did a lot of prescription pickup and delivery for the stores who don't do delivery. We did some minor amount of laundry, loads of essential transportation. The Mason program that drove seniors to chemo in the cancer clinic. So we've kind of stepped in and taken up that. So we've had some contractors, some volunteers doing that because some people have to go every day for a month. And they don't get much notice. They often get the call at like 4 or 5 p.m. that they need to be there the next morning. So it's been a bit of a challenge, but we've been able to fill that gap for the most part. We started a new program of daily safety checks. We'll keep that going once this winds down. And our summer student this year is going to set up and develop programming and apps on a bunch of tablets so that we can loan those out to people so they can take part in community events, fitness online, support groups, whatever it may be. And we're also hoping to see if we can get enough to maybe loan out. We've had some Google Hubs donated. We'll try a trial in a care home and see if that can be set up so residents can just go and use it. They're kind of neat because they just have to talk to the hub and it'll dial for them or get them what they want. So kind of excited to look at that. Hope I didn't go over my 2 minutes. That's it.
Oh, that's fine. And on your last point, I've been getting used to calling my phone and saying, "Hey Siri, do something." And it's technology has been amazing learning curve over the last few months. I'm sure for all of us.
Yeah.
Speaking of technology, hi Sonia, welcome.
Hello. I was signing in at 5 to 4. And it wouldn't go. So I was just on the phone and I look over here and it says, "Oh, rejoining meeting." So here I am.
Oh, here you are. And so we have a couple of minutes. If you wouldn't mind telling us a little bit about the Westside Health Network and how you've managed over the last few months and what do you do?
Okay, so first, thank you for hosting the meeting. That's awesome so that people can know what these organizations are doing for seniors in their community. Very close to what everybody has been saying. Groceries was a big item, so we had volunteers actually walk some clients through how to set up home delivery on their computer. So we had a couple of those. A lot of family members stepped up and did the online grocery shopping set up for their parents, and they actually maybe do the weekly putting in of the order. So that was great. Others, we provided volunteers that would pick up a grocery list and shop and deliver the items to the individuals' homes. We did only essential drives, which were basically medical appointments, and both driver and client had PPE and followed policies put out by various organizations. Better at Home Housekeeping was suspended, but clients still received some yard work. I believe as of this week, housekeeping has been reinstated. We also delivered probably about 10 hampers, food hampers, gift cards, $850 worth of gift cards for groceries and frozen meals. And now we're up to about 50 frozen meals a week. And that is all part and part thank you to the Salvation Army for providing that. So our volunteers and their volunteers did those deliveries. Also, through the 211, BC 211 calls, we received probably about 40 new clients that needed help and about 10 to 12 new volunteers. So that was awesome because the volunteers specified that they would and wouldn't do. Our volunteer income tax program for low income individuals kept running. The volunteers did the returns online, over the phone with the client, and then online. So that worked out well. Daily calls to probably approximately 50 people daily. That's through the coordinator of volunteers and with about 6 volunteers making calls to individuals at their homes, ensuring that they have what they need, that they're okay. We too are getting a couple of Max Google Hub tablets, so we can learn together. Yeah, thanks to, and the amazing thing is that community partners have pulled together so immensely, the Salvation Army, the United Way, the food bank. It really, really, truly is amazing. So that's what we've been doing.
That's awesome. Thank you, Sonia. I do have a question for all of you, but before I do that, I just want to ask the folks that are watching, if you do have a question and you are on the Zoom platform, please submit it to us through the Q&A function of Zoom. Love to hear what you have to say, whether it's a comment or a question. That would be awesome. And if you're watching via Facebook, you can leave a comment there, and Dorothy will transcribe it for us onto the Q&A platform so that we can ask it as well. If you're watching recorded, then I'm sorry, we can't read your mind. So what I'd like you to do is, if you still have a question and you're watching a recorded version of this, please contact the individuals that you see here at their organizations, and they'll be happy to answer those questions for you directly. So here's one for all of you. Given that you're volunteer organizations, a lot of volunteers working with you, and that includes you, Ellen. How many volunteers do you have? Has it gone up or down through COVID? And how many people are you serving? And has that gone up and down because of COVID? And just some quick answers would be great. And whoever wants to start, go for it.
Both are up. Like I say, that through the BC 211, we had 10, 12 new people in the community that wanted to volunteer. Clients also went up, so we're probably, I'd have to look, but how many people? We're probably at 160 volunteers now. Clients, I would have to look.
Are you talking
Hundreds.
in the hundreds?
Hundreds.
In the hundreds. Okay, thank you. Go ahead. Next.
So the Peach Town Wellness Center has definitely increased our number of volunteers. We had a significantly large number of volunteers already at the Peach Town Wellness Center prior to this. And we were really, really quite surprised at how many other people signed on, to the point where we actually started saying to people, you know what, we love that you're signing on, but we honestly haven't got anything for you to do. And our client numbers have also increased. But again, I like Sonia, don't know the exact number, but yes, it's definitely increased with the grocery shopping that we're doing now, as well as the tablet drive and people wanting to connect via Zoom using the tablet drive program.
When we're looking at especially our immigrant seniors, Our numbers have gone up a little bit, but what's really gone up is the intensity of the need. So we have a lot of people with needs that are taking longer to serve, and they are a little bit more challenging to serve, such as mental health and isolation. So that's been some of our experience. When you're talking about our crisis line, which seniors do use, but it is a public edge, we're up at about 45 to 55% increase of calls to the crisis line, to the suicide line, and to the mental health line. So we've seen some major increases in those areas.
Thank you.
Our volunteers have increased by about 3 times.
3 times.
Processed about close to 200 new ones, which, you know, going through the whole process is quite a challenge from the record checks and all of that. So it's been great. So we're working quickly to develop some new programs that have become evidently needed during this time, so that we can continue to have the benefit of those volunteers in the time to come. So we've really tried to spread out and make sure everybody got to do something, and we're adding to that. But clients, well, we've had quite a few new because of the 211 service. Seniors we weren't in touch with, we now are, to the tune of a few hundred more. So life's going to be a little bit more challenging once we revert back and have those new people, but so far so good.
Good, thank you. Corinne?
So we have 85 seniors that we're supporting weekly. And then we have an additional 15 individuals that we're supporting through our outreach services, so vicariously housed or homeless individuals. And I was overwhelmed by the response of volunteers when we put the cry out for help. I've heard that that's been a blessing for a lot of us, more volunteers than we know what to do with. So that's good to see that we, you know, if we needed the help, it's out there.
Right. Have you had anybody, again, to all of you, have you had anybody at all who was receiving services refuse services because they're afraid somebody from the outside would be bringing COVID into their homes?
Yes.
Is that a common thing, or is that just a?
No, not common.
Before we
Go ahead, Vi.
Before we canceled housekeeping,
Yes.
We did have people starting to phone in themselves and say, I don't want this right now. Then again, you know, a few weeks ago, they all started phoning and saying, get me this back. None of the services we provide have any contact. We've maintained that 6-foot distancing. We've got volunteers wearing gloves and masks. So that hasn't really been an issue.
Mm-hmm.
My response was going to be much the same as Vi's.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody with a different answer?
Vi, but I also work in the health unit with interior health, long-term care. And I do know that a number of the clients actually canceled home support because they didn't want those workers coming into their home.
Right. So, you know, obviously you have to, as organizations, respect what the client wants and try to assure them that it's safe. But at the end of the day, if they don't want service, they don't get service. How are you reaching?
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Corinne.
The harder thing for us was the ones that wanted contact. So, you know, whether it was just you know, less than the 6-foot distance. So, you know, who were craving like a physical touch, a contact, a hug, you know, it was hard to say, you know, we just can't do that right now because we have a lot of huggers in Lake Country. So we resorted to doing drive-bys where we were, you know, we either had volunteers or we had staff driving by and, you know, just a little honk or a stop at the end of the gate just to say hi. That was kind of the piece that we were able to bring. Staff and I guess we're huggers too. So that was the harder piece.
Yeah, you really have to meet people where they're at. And
Mhm.
I don't think it's just Lake Country that is a hugging community. But you can use that in your advertising if you want. Come to Lake Country, we hug.
I'll present it to the district. They should put it
Yeah.
on there as their tagline.
Good luck with that. So how are you, again, to all of you, how are you reaching those seniors that are isolated in their homes? They may not have family or previous connections to your organizations. Are you putting out flyers, Facebook? What are you doing to reach them?
So what we did in Peachland is we started that phone program. So we actually have people at home that have a list of the same people that they're phoning. And so they phone once a week to the same person, and they've developed these really strong relationships over the course of, almost 10 weeks of phoning the same individuals. And that's when I was talking earlier about this friendly visitor phone program that we want to keep going, because some of these people, they actually are sitting and waiting for these phone calls now. It's sometimes the only contact with anybody outside of their home that they have, if they don't have family or partners anymore, or some of those kinds of things. The isolation, and especially, maybe not especially, but it certainly seems high percentage in Peachland because it is such a senior community. And when they can't get out and see their friends and there's no family, there's nobody. So
yeah. Others?
That's what we've been doing also. We've been, like I say, we probably make 50 calls a day to individuals that don't have anybody here, through volunteers. And like Christina said, sometimes I get a call twice a week, sometimes I get a call once a week, just to connect with somebody. And like you say, Christina, yes, they're waiting for the call, right? And the calls aren't, hello, how are you? Are everything okay? Yeah, okay, but the calls are an hour.
Mm-hmm.
45 minutes to an hour. So
yeah, they're a full visit call. They're not a short hi, how are you? They are a full-on visit. That's their visit. Yeah.
You're all angels. All angels.
Oh, you don't see the horns.
No. You have the halos above your head right now, and all your volunteers as well.
It's the people that work for us and volunteer that are the angels for sure.
Yes. Others?
We had one thing that we noticed was that a lot of our seniors are not email, they're not on the internet, so they're not in the digital world. So I assigned my program manager's job, and she had to phone every single client that we had. And that was her first 2 weeks. And just connect them to services, find out what they needed. I think that was a really long 2 weeks for her. And what we found was, so we were able to connect quickly with additional seniors who were, connected to the digital world. So on Facebook, on the internet. We found it difficult to then reach the ones who weren't. So we did in the end print up some flyers, and we had them delivered to the grocery store. And we just said, hey, you see someone that really should be at home, please give this to them. And just providing the supports where we could. And we also actually phoned the Chamber of Commerce. They included service offerings through their weekly email, that e-newsletter that they sent out. So we were just trying to be really creative of how to connect out there, just assuming that not everybody's on the internet.
Right. Ellen, you the KCR has put together a new book called Possibilities. Has that gone out to people's homes, seniors in particular, or how do people find out about that?
That's really good. They haven't been able to find out. I hear all the really great resources that our panelists are talking about, and this is a new resources, just another option. But we got some funding from the federal and the provincial government. So a group of seniors from our community formed a committee, and they guided the creation of something called the Possibilities Guide. And this is a useful and engaging book that highlights the possibilities for seniors in our region and acts like a journal for them to identify ways for them to get and stay connected in the community. Granted that some of these possibilities have been impacted by the pandemic, but it really is a great resource that's identified for the different options and tools about connecting even with technology. One of the things that people can access it on our website, which is kcr.ca. And as the organizations open, this is actually a copy of it. But as organizations open, we're making sure that all of the organizations and all the touch points for seniors will have copies there. So we do already have the hard copies, but with the pandemic, we really haven't been able to disseminate them.
And what kind of things would people find in that guide, in that book?
So the types of things that each one of the organizations that you see on screen here are profiled in it. Okay. And also, so for example, if I take Peachland, it also talks about the Peachland Sowers and Growers Club, the Newcomers and Social Club, Peachland Trekkers. And so it has a different listings of how people can get involved, how they can volunteer, and how they can connect to the community. Awesome. And this is put together by seniors in our community.
Okay. Vi, did you want to talk a little bit about how you connecting with the seniors? Kelowna is a big place.
It is. And I mean, we had hundreds of connections already, of close connections in our other programs, including Better at Home. So we've still been in contact with all of those. The 2-on-1 has been for us a huge amount of volunteers and clients coming through there. I know some communities that didn't happen, but it certainly happened for us in great numbers. So, but once we started getting different volunteer services out there, like the book drops, the meal drops, what's happened is the seniors, they'll stay at the door and talk to that person as long as the person's willing to stand there. Yeah. When they've dropped off the groceries and the meal. We always get them to knock on the door and back away 6 feet, but the conversations and the friendships that have been struck up have been quite phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think we're all familiar with what it's like to be at a door when people like to talk. It's great. We did get a question so far. If you have any more questions, please submit them on the Q&A box. I'd love to hear from you or through comments on Facebook. This question says, how are volunteer drivers covered regarding liability when providing drives to essential appointments during COVID-19? Anybody want to tackle that?
Well, in the beginning, when things were dicier and everything was locked down more, we only used contractors who had WCB and business insurance, so they had more protection, but they also were home support workers. They were working in the field. They knew the protocols and they were already following them. So we felt that was a safer option. You know, we did the best we could. First, we struggled if we should do it or not, but then we started getting so many calls for people going for chemo and coming from out of town and having nobody here and no way to do it. So I just decided it was more important that they get the chemo than, you know, worry overly about the safety. We did what we could. The driver's mask and glove, they always bring a mask for the client to wear, and they sit as far as they can in the vehicle from each other, disinfect the door handles and all of that, and you know, that's kind of the best we could do.
Okay.
Yeah, we did the same in Peachland. We you know, made sure that there were PPEs available for all of the volunteer drivers as well as all of the riders, and we, you know, have all of those kinds of processes in place. The same, you sit as far away in the vehicle as you can. You wipe everything down when you're done. And I did, you know, speak, of course, to WCB, but also to our insurance around our volunteer liability insurance, just to see what kind of coverage we actually had. And so we, you know, our volunteer liability insurance covers that kind of thing as well. So, you know, provided we do everything that we can to mitigate the risk or limit the risk, then that's what you do.
Do volunteer drivers, when they're driving other people, require a Class 4 license, or is the Class 5 sufficient?
Just a regular license if they're a volunteer.
Okay, so you're not losing a whole bunch of drivers to rideshare programs because they have Class 4 driver license. Okay. So what services through COVID do you think you would like to expand on or add? Where are the shortfalls in your funding to be able to do that? How's that for an open-ended question?
Well, I think right now, honestly, there isn't a shortfall. The funding we've received so far has been adequate. We've been able to share some of it with, folks out there, and it's going well. But my concern is down the road when we have these hundreds of new clients and volunteers to continue to manage when we revert back to regular services, which we're starting to transition. That's my worry, is in the years ahead, because now we're going to have three times as many volunteers and twice as many clients. And if this COVID funding isn't continued on some level, then we're going to be hitting the wall on what we can do.
Yeah, same here. We've found our donations have gone up significantly, exponentially in the last month with COVID. Everybody's wanting to donate and help right now, and that's not going to be there in maybe a year from now, or as we go forward. And then the government funding, the emergency funding, again, it's been great. The United Way funding has been great, but that's not sustainable funding. That's not ongoing funding. So yeah, what's going to happen when it all settles down and we're back to every day with higher numbers of clients and participants and volunteers? Yeah.
Other organizations? Sonia?
Exactly, same scenario as Vi and Christina. Right now, everything is fine, and partnerships and foods and volunteers and everything is like great. The ball's rolling. The PPE is being donated by United Way, so it's absolutely fabulous. But exactly, down the road, when this is all hopefully over, then what's going to happen? The casinos haven't been open, so a lot of our money comes from BC Gaming. So,
yeah.
It's really questionable. So, but you know what? A lot of good should come out of this. As they say, don't let a good disaster a good disaster will bring a lot of good out of something. So I think we do have a lot of fortunate things to look forward to. I truly do. It's a time to reflect and a time to really think about the delivery of the programs you're delivering, and the best way to deliver those programs.
So are you delivering the programs that you would like to deliver, since you are fully, or sounds like you're fully resourced right now, or are there still gaps that you think need to be addressed?
Most of our programs, like the drive, the visiting's over the phone, the grocery shopping is like Christina says, on the doorstep and stuff. I do have a program called Walk and Talk, where it was 2 hours twice a week, Mondays and Thursdays. So that got halted. And it was an hour of exercise and an hour of either socializing, or we'd have a guest speaker talking about nutrition or mental health or whatever topics that the seniors would like to maybe learn more about. So I'm looking at restarting in September, but I can't put 70 or 80 seniors in the location. So I need to, my thoughts are I'm going to eliminate the hour of socializing and education and do 2 hours each day of exercise, so that I can have more seniors participate. So there'd be one small group at 10, another at 11. So I'm looking at extra funding to be able to offer two classes 4 times a week, or twice a week, right? Instead of once, 2 times a week. Now I'm looking at 4 times a week, but I need funds to be able to provide service for additional classes, right?
Okay, thank you. Other organizations, are there some gaps that you'd like to address?
For us, I think it's gaps that we've known of all along that are just becoming chasms now. They're and are going to be much bigger. But one is the housing issue in seniors and the homeless or virtual homeless. I'm not talking street homeless, but most of seniors homelessness, more than half of it is people who come down with a chronic or sudden health condition and their housing is in jeopardy. It's costs of rentals. This has been a big issue for us over the years. There isn't a day goes by we don't hear from at least one person who's really struggling around housing issues and on the verge of homelessness. They're people who are first-time homeless and they aren't going anywhere near a homeless shelter. So they've been living in some really trying conditions, unsafe for a long time. And the other thing is system navigation. This is something we've never been funded for, but we do anyway as much as we can. But with these added numbers, it's kind of scary how that's going to go later. Now it's working one-on-one with people. So many people don't end up in care now. It's less than 10%. And so people with incredible disabilities and health challenges are living on their own, but they actually aren't even capable anymore of phoning around and looking for a rental. They're not capable of understanding the letter that comes from Canada Pensions or the Ministry of Health. So they come to us clutching these papers for help. And we've been squeezing it in, but that's something we've been able to do far less of right now. We're going to try to inch back to that. But it's that same concern is we weren't funded for it. We did a lot of it and it just pushes staff to their limits. And now, now we know we have even bigger limits than we thought we did, but still that's going to be a real concern because there is nobody helping those seniors in the community to maintain their pensions, to fill out their safer. Every year they send the paper, all these, so many things they just cannot handle on their own. And it's not empowerment like with younger population. We're not teaching them how to get better when they're 98 and half blind. It's going the other way. So they're going to need more help, not less.
Right.
Yeah. We're fortunate in Peachland. That's part of our outreach program, and we help seniors with that kind of thing all the time. The biggest gap and struggle we have is that there isn't housing for them in Peachland, and so they end up having to leave their lifelong community and move either to West Kelowna or Summerland or Penticton because there isn't housing for them here.
Not here either.
Yeah, well, that's true. There isn't there either. I know there is definitely a shortage of housing for seniors that need, semi-independent living or assisted living for sure. We have no semi-independent living in Peachland or assisted living in Peachland at all. And it's definitely becoming an issue for sure.
Corinne, did you want to add to the conversation on this?
I think for us, and we identified the seniors who don't have the technology. So that's the one thing. There was a number of requests for meal delivery, which we don't have currently in Lake Country, although we've applied for some funding through the United Way, is it SEC?
Emergency fund.
Yeah, so many acronyms to learn. So we're hoping to get some funding to deliver that. I think and I mean, maybe even for us in our community, we're a small organization, we've kind of waded into some of these services. So maybe there's a bit of a disconnect in Lake Country as to who to turn to for support and help. So trying to be creative on how to get that messaging out prior to the return of the second wave of COVID. So those are kind of the things that we're just discussing right now.
Yes, there's a lot of people talking about the second wave. Let's hope it doesn't happen, but we have to be ready just in case, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you all mentioned, or a lot of you mentioned the fact that a lot of the things that are happening today, and look just at our screens right now, is technology driven. And Vi, you talked about the 98-year-old, I guess, that might have challenges with technology. I can tell you that even at 62, sometimes we have challenges with technology. So what can we do? What can we do to help our seniors who aren't tech savvy to become a little more tech savvy, so as they age to their 70s and their 80s and their 90s, they can take make full participation of everything that that you collectively have to offer, even after COVID is over. A lot of it will still be through tech. What, if anything, can we do to help them?
So there's oh, go ahead.
Provide low cost, find a way to get some low cost internet that they can afford.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the equipment. So the tablet drive that we did has provided some equipment, and TELUS did provide us with a couple of tablets that also have works like a cell phone. I don't know what the terminology is because I'm not tech savvy enough to know the terminology, but so they have internet access just like you would with a cell phone with these tablets. So finding a way to get funding for more of that, and then teaching these seniors how to use them, setting them up so that they're simple and basic with the information these seniors are going to need, so they don't have to learn all of that other stuff and you know, understand it. They only have what they need. So the tablet drive that we did here in Peachland, we've had our tech guys set those tablets up with Zoom and with an email address so that they can connect via email and just learn simply that, and connect via Zoom and simply learn that. And he's cleaned the rest of the screen up so they don't have all that other stuff to confuse them and make it more daunting. And you know, so then those seniors that have those tablets will get a short sort of training on it, and the tablets are loaners, but they'll be able to have them on loan till they don't need them anymore. There's not going to be like a library where you have a deadline to bring it back. We just ask that if they aren't going to use it, that they do bring it back so somebody else can use it. So we need more of that, and we need funding for that. Like, that's a program that probably will be, I think, grow as our population continues to grow. And as some of us age, we are already going to have that tech savvy, but the ones that are there already just don't know. And we need to find a way to get that to them. So that program is one of the pieces that we want to find a way to make ongoing after COVID.
Right.
So we just applied for some federal funding to see if we could start a tablet program through our office. Mm-hmm. We're going to be using some students to support our seniors as they learn to navigate through the tablet. There's a program called Team Viewer, which allows an operator to jump onto your screen and move things around and, you know, kind of put things in place. That's especially important. I know of one senior who, it's actually my friend's mom, who is seeing impaired, and she's constantly losing things off her screen. My friend lives in Abbotsford and the mom lives here in Vernon. So I get calls, can you please go over and help my mom find this document or the other thing? So we now have this program so she can be supported virtually. We even put her on Facebook. So now she's doing comments and posts, and, you know, it's kind of sweet to see her have that ability to connect with her grandkids and her grandnieces and nephews. So I'll let you know how that turns out.
I'd love to hear more, Corinne, and how you make out with that grant, because that's exactly what we need to do here in Beachland too, for sure.
Yep.
Yeah,
Great.
great.
To make a couple of really quick comments. You know, we run an employment program for people that are 55 and older that are needing to re-enter the workforce. And as a foundation for that course, we always taught the computer technology. And now we're starting at the very basics so that individuals that are in the community forget about returning to work. Right now, our teachings and our sessions are just basic. How do you make sure you stay connected in the community? How do you download Zoom? How do you access Zoom? How do you send a Zoom invite? You know, and all of those things. It's just out of necessity for everybody right now.
Geez, I'll sign up for that one.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing is that I'm finding with technology, and this is not going to be immediate, but people that are developing technology are really understanding how complex it's becoming. So the 18-year-olds, they've grown up with this and they grab to it just, you know, by nature almost. And us that are 50 and older are struggling with it. But what I've noticed just in the last probably 2 years is that they've actually simplified technology. Instead of getting more complex and being able to do more, they've backtracked and simplified it so that we can talk to our machines. You know, they're starting with remote controls. Believe me, my father couldn't use a remote control, and now he can hold a button and talk to it. And that's been amazing for him. And I'm hoping our computers will also continue to be able to do what they can do, but in a much, much simpler way.
Remember the old, the original Star Trek movies that came out, and you would have Scotty go to his terminal and would go, computer on, and nothing would happen.
Good example.
Yeah, yeah. I'm also dating myself. So are all of you for laughing at that, because you probably saw the one I'm talking about. We got a question here. It's very specific, so only one of you needs to answer it if you know the answer. How do seniors who are still working and lost over 2/3 of their salary get help like CERB?
How do they get?
Yep, they're still working, but they've lost over 2/3 of their salary. How can they get help like the federal CERB program?
Well,
Does
I
anybody
guess
have
if their income is under 1,000, they should qualify for CERB. If it's more,
Yeah.
they should quit.
Yeah, right.
So if you're watching and you post that question, if you live in Kelowna, contact Vi, maybe she can help you. Or since it's a federal program, contact a federal MP's office, Dan Albus or Tracy Gray. Their staff there are awesome. They'll be able to help you find the answer to that as well. And if you live in another one of the areas, you contact one of the other ladies, that'll be fine as well. So we only have a few minutes left. And Dorothy, the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain there, who's hiding under KCR Community Resources banner, has asked me to invite Ellen to come back and talk about the possibilities book again. So Ellen, yes, I'm not too sure if Dorothy caught that. We already talked about it, but
No,
you get another chance. So
no, I don't think there's anything more that needs to be said. I'm looking at
okay.
everybody on the screen to say, you know what, we'll make sure that some of these booklets are coming to you. They are online, and we will make sure to start distributing them now.
Yeah, the fact that they're online are great. All we need now is to make sure that all of you have tablet programs funded, so all the seniors can have a tablet so they can get the online version from Ellen.
Is that a promise?
Promise. Well,
Yeah, right.
this is a nonpartisan conversation. So since we have 5 minutes left, and since we have 5 of you, how about we take a minute each to say a last few comments to our public that's watching right now. Let's start with Christina, and then we'll go Sonia, Irene, Vi, and then we'll finish with Ellen. Christina.
So a couple minutes in summary is just
1 minute, Christina.
1 minute. Oh,
1 minute.
Okay. I've used up half of my 1 minute already. So 1 minute in summary, I guess I just want to sort of something that Sonia said earlier is recognizing the good that has come out of this pandemic. You know, what we have learned at Peachtown Wellness Center is amazing. We've learned how to continue to support and serve our community in a really different way and meet the needs. We've learned how to maintain connections, and we've learned what some gaps are, and we've learned how to fill some of those gaps. So I think some learnings and some good things have really come out of this, and happy about that.
Thank you. And thanks again for being such an angel. Sonia.
I'm going to kind of basically say what Christina said. And yeah, you know, through all of this learning curve, there are so many good things, and so many people pulling together, and so many organizations helping each other to be able to help the seniors in the community. It has been actually an amazing journey, and actually a privilege to be a part of this journey. And if anybody out there needs help in that, give me a call.
Awesome. Another angel. Angel Kareen.